Greetings everybody, it's Jim, and today I get to give you a number of reasons why you should be playing High Colonies from Columbia Games. Now, I say you should be playing High Colonies. Now the thing is, that's actually quite impossible, because as of this recording, it's not out yet. Okay, we had 450 people on our Kickstarter, and it's actually closer to 600 now from all the pre-orders. So there's definitely a demand, which we're really happy about. But we are running into some challenges, and I am going to address them in this video. But whether or not you're familiar with High Colonies, this is still going to be a great primer, so let's just get right down into it. Now, as I mentioned, High Colonies is written 200 years into the future, and those of you who have already perused the sampler, and it's down in the link below, you can look at it right now, you've seen some of that timeline, and that's only a little bit. There's actually another 2 or 3 pages added to what you've seen, and it's pretty cool what they've done. The thing is because it's tethered Earth, it only being 200 years into the future, it's pretty cool to see how everything shapes up to that point, and we can live through some of that because things are happening, like Jeff Bezos with Blue Origin, the first privately owned spaceship corporation, and Elon Musk with SpaceX. Both have pivotal roles to play in the storyline. Okay, SpaceX colonizes Mars in the year 2027. Jeff Bezos' Amazon and Blue Origins combined to kind of form something called Amazon Blue. So basically, those things happen in a lot of other things. But one of the challenges that Tom Dalgleish, the writer and creator, has is because of also technology being that close. The further you get into time, it's easier to write because you can just say any gobbledygook you want, even in hard science fiction. And people just kind of have to nod their head and say, yeah, sure. And they accept it. We've all done it because that's science fiction in general. It hasn't been invented yet. We can't really critique it too much. But first, it's hard science fiction, and it being only 200 years into the future, it gets pretty tight. And he's almost, I swear, Tom, when I see him working on it, I think he's trying to get his PhD in astrophysics to finish everything. I swear, Elon Musk, by the time this game's done, Elon Musk is going to come up to Tom and ask him, how did you solve space travel? And Tom's going to be like, I just wanted to finish the damn game. Now, the second thing about being only written 200 years into the future, and it's really well done with High Colonies, and it's already done, is the timeline, okay? And how now shapes then. Now, if this was written a millennia down the road, you might get a bullet point of what we're living through right now, and then be all kinds of things that you've never heard of before. But with being so close, there are so many things that shape what's happening and what's going to happen with High Colonies. It's just amazing. So one of the things, Elon Musk, for instance, with SpaceX, he colonizes Mars in 2027 with 220 settlers. And the technology that actually spurns everything forward, there's an event that happens that spurns everything forward, but what really does it is 3D printing technology, or I just should say production. It just goes through the roof of what they can do. Right now, everybody makes these little miniatures and stuff, and that's all great, but there are already 3D printers that are printing houses with the same kind of idea. And they're going to, 30 years from now, can you imagine what they're going to be doing? So what happens is, of course, the same old superpowers are in control. China, Russia, the United States, and everybody else, still doing the same old dance. But they're, of course, going into space and colonizing Luna, trying to get on Mars. And if they can't do that, they're building spaceships on their own. Everybody's pretty much free. And, of course, guys like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the people that come after them are, of course, doing it themselves because they can. So there's tons of things happening. By the time High Colonies gets going, there's 20 million people in space. And that is where the event happens. There's the Earth Home War. Basically, there's decades of tension between the superpowers, like that's ever changed, really. But an asteroid hits China, and a big one, and it really starts a famine. And they're desperate for food, so they invade their neighbors, and of course this cascades. Everybody gets involved with the 9 superpowers, and somebody pulls the trigger, and chemical, biological, nuclear warfare just all over, just sterilize the Earth completely. And there's nothing left. Nobody is left alive. The only people who are left alive of the human race are the people in the High Colonies, hence the name. So basically, what does this have? What implications does this have now? And this is where the potential lies for some great storytelling in High Colonies, because basically it's only been 2 generations of people, about 70 years, 2 generations of people who have never set foot on Earth, who have been brought up in the colonies itself. And then you've got people who are still old enough to have remembered what living on Earth was like. And of course, after the Earth Home War, and at abruptly everybody in the high colonies being the only people left alive, what happened to their alliances? I mean, some of these stations were military complexes. Some of them were resources. What alliances shifted? What happened? Did some people sue for peace? Did some people continue the war? And some people just said, heck with it, I'm doing my own thing, see you later. Whether it be to do their own scientific experiments on cloning, or whether it be, starting a religious cult. I mean, it's endless. So a lot of great potential there. And finally, Tom's written about 2 things that he's really mulling over whether he wants to include them in high colonies or not. Now, they are staples in science fiction, and some people would say, hey, as long as they're written well, they belong in hard science fiction just fine, and they are written well. But some people would say, no, I want more of the pure human element in my hard science fiction. That's what I want. And that's understandable too. But the main thing is the inclusion of either or both of these things really change the setting on its head. Okay, and these 2 things are psychic powers and aliens. Okay, psychic powers, just for the potential alone, for the power levels. I mean, we're getting into superhuman stuff here. Well, humans are all at pretty much the same level. Okay, karate, I got a gun. It's something like that. It changes the game entirely when psychics are involved, psychic powers are involved, and of course, but that can be a lot of fun too. But it does change the setting quite a bit, I would think. And of course, the big daddy of the room, that would be the aliens. They're the easiest to explain how that would change everything. For us, all the tension that we have in this world, if aliens all of a sudden landed tomorrow, guarantee you we'd stop talking about coronavirus, the election, everything. We'd just be looking at aliens and saying, aliens, right? So, and even if they were introduced maybe a generation or 2 earlier in the campaign, like right after the Earth Home War, it would still be the focal point, I think, for a lot of campaigns. It's hard to ignore, right? So all these tensions that you might read about tonight when you read the sampler, would they be there or not, right? So that's something he's mulling over, and my suggestion to him is just to keep it optional. It's the 3rd option, right? You don't have to not have them. You don't have to make them law either. Just let people play them if they wish. Whatever they're comfortable doing. So that is high colonies, though, and I really hope you take a look at that sampler, and you can always pre-order on the website. So I'll see you guys next video.